She stood in the kitchen doorway holding a pink satin ribbon in her hand and said to me, "Daddy would so love it if you wore this in your hair whilst serving his dinner to him." I remember staring at it and thinking, what on earth is happening here? This was my very first job in England. I was hired as a cook for a 90-year-old gentleman who lived alone in an enormous house on an enormous property with his own lake, his own woods, and the deer wandering around. Unfortunately, he was rather grumpy, and his daughter, who was about 60, who actually employed me, was a real force to be reckoned with. I was instructed by her to work in the kitchen, cooking the meals in any clothes, my clothes, with a chef's apron on. But then about 10 minutes before each meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I would then need to sprint to my little cottage that was on the property and change into black skirt, white blouse, and black stockings and shoes. Well, this felt a little bit like a movie costume change 3 times a day, but I did it. But to set the scene from you, keep in mind that he dined alone, apart from the odd time that his carer dined with him, at the end of a 20-seater table. That's where he took every meal, and the table had to be properly set for him at every meal. Even when his carer was there, that left at least 18 vacant seats staring at him, but that's what he did. Then one day his daughter came into the kitchen and she was holding a little white French-style anglaise apron, you know, the sort you tie around your waist. And she said, "I would like you to wear this with your black and white outfit when you serve dinner." I wasn't happy about that. But, you know, the job had not been easy to secure. It was my first job in England, so I was quite naive, so I put on the apron. I didn't feel like a cook anymore. I seriously looked like somebody serving French fries and milkshakes in a 1950s diner. Can you picture the scene? Well, this was me. I hated it, but I wore it because my employer obviously expected 5-star service exactly the way he wanted it done, and I had no option, so I wore the apron, and I served every meal with that apron on. But then, wait for it, then came the ribbon. Once again, his daughter appeared in the kitchen just before dinner with this pink satin ribbon in her hand, and she said, "Rose, Daddy would so love you to wear this ribbon in your hair when you serve him dinner tonight." Now, I used to wear my hair obviously pulled back and in a ponytail. Well, there was no ways I was putting that ribbon in my hair. So I said no. She was furious with me. But, I mean, where do I draw the line? I had this picture of myself, you know, walking around this enormous dining room with my little anglaise apron on and my pink ribbon in my ponytail, like something out of a 1950s movie. Of course, she was absolutely mad with me, but I made up my mind I was not completing the look. I already looked ridiculous. I wasn't going to put that ribbon in my hair. I was not completing the look for her or him or anybody else. And just to put this into a bit of perspective, back in South Africa, I was an accountant and I had chosen to work in service. But if you're wondering how I somehow fell from balance sheets to wearing ribbons in my hair, well, I began to wonder as well. There were lots of strange things that happened in that house. Let's not go into them, but the ribbon was where I drew the line. As you can imagine, I didn't last very long in that job, but it was definitely one for the books, and one that I wanted to share with you today. And I hope you enjoyed this little story. At the beginning, I never said hello to my subscribers, and I'm so sorry for that. A big welcome to you and anybody new who's watching my video. If you've enjoyed this, why not subscribe and hit the little bell, and you'll be notified every time I upload another video. And if you enjoy videos like it, please comment, tell me. I've got lots more stories for you. Thanks, and bye for now.